What's up guys, Stark here. In today's video I'm going to be doing a character spotlight, and for this one I'm going to be taking a look at Paul Bunyan, who is going to be the new event servant for the 2nd anniversary quest that is out as of the time of this recording. So Paul Bunyan is probably the easiest event character in the game to get. All you have to do is do one quest every day for 5 or 6 days and you get all copies of the character, and you don't need event exclusive items to ascend her all the way up to max ascension. And yes, Paul Bunyan is a girl in this game, a very small girl. I don't know why, it doesn't make sense, but it's fate, so I've stopped questioning the gender bender stuff. Anyway though, Paul Bunyan isn't that bad of a character. She is a 1-star though, so it might turn a few people off, but we're gonna go through it. Same spotlight as always, it's just going to look a little bit different. So in this video I'll kind of explain the changes and we'll go from there. So this one might be a little bit longer, but the other ones shouldn't be that long unless there's something I really want to talk about. So first up is going to be the overview, which is the same as always. It's always the first thing I talk about. So Paul Bunyan is a 1-star berserker, so she will go up to level 60, and at level 60 she will have 6,196 HP and 6,044 attack. This will rank her dead last in HP and 154th out of 168 in attack. So she doesn't have good stats. Obviously, being a 1-star servant, she's not going to have good stats. If you do decide to grail her, she will end up with 9,551 HP and 9,391 attack. So if you do go ahead and grail her, then she gets like decent stats and she becomes a little bit more viable. I don't know how much I would recommend doing that, but it's definitely an option for those who need a good support berserker or AoE berserker or something like that. So it is what it is. Do what you want. I'm just not going to do that. For her star absorption, it's going to be 9, and her star generation is going to be 4.9%, and her noble phantasm generation on her attacks will be 0.67, and on defense will be 5%. So that's taken care of. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of the changes that I've made. I pretty much tried to cut down on all the things that feel really tedious to me or that I hate doing, and I cut those out, and I still tried to keep the core concept of the character spotlights together, so it doesn't take away from you guys, but it makes it easier for me to make, because I do think a lot of the burnout that I suffered over the past couple of months has been because of all the graphics I have to make for all the videos, and I try and do a lot of videos. So I tried to cut out what I don't really absolutely need, and those are the ones that just, when I would make the videos, those are the ones that I always dreaded making because it was just so annoying getting everything together. So I pretty much just got rid of them. And, you know, if you guys want them back, I will definitely put them back in the videos. At the end of the day, it's what you guys want. So if you guys are missing something in this video that you wanted me to include, let me know and I will bring them back. But that was just my reasoning for getting rid of them. Anyway, we're going to start with the end screen graphic that I usually post up with the star rankings, and we're going to go a little differently here. So we're going to start with the blank one, and we're going to talk about each of the individual categories one by one, and then we'll go through, and at the end of that I will give it a star ranking. So there are a few changes you can see here. First, you guys probably would notice the required material graphics on the screen. So I got rid of the skill enhancement and the ascension graphics, and I just combined them into one, and I put it on the review graphic here. So the numbers represent the total number of items you're going to need to completely max out Paul Bunyan. So that means ascend her all the way and to max out all of her skills. So, you know, it says 72 full chains there. Basically, you would just cut that by 3 in order to see what it is per skill. So this gives you a good idea of exactly what you need to completely max out this character if it's a character you're going for. So maybe not for Paul Bunyan, but for in the future characters, it'll give you a really good idea of that number you need to hit in order to be able to fully ascend and skill enhance that character all the way. Another thing you guys might notice is that I added a ranking into the star rankings. So I added the critical ability section. That kind of gives a little bit more diversity and versatility to the overall rankings. Adding a 6th category will kind of divvy up the overall rankings a little bit and make them a little bit differently, so not every character is bunched in together. And I also did change the stats to damage. So basically what it was coming down to at this point is if the character was a 5-star, it would get 5 stars. in stats, or it would probably even get more if we could. And if it was a 1-star character, they would just automatically get 1 star because their stats are so low. Like Paul Bunyan would get 1 star, if 1 star in stats if I kept it that way. So I changed it to damage to kind of help a little bit, you know, give a more fair ranking to some of the lower star characters. So now let's go ahead and talk about her skills. First up is going to be the Happy Companions A. This will increase her party's Buster card effectiveness for 3 turns, as well as increase the party's critical damage for 3 turns. So something very good about Paul Bunyan, even though she's a 1-star servant, is she's very support oriented, and all of her skills will help your entire team do more damage and other things as we get there. So that's always a really good thing. You know, she's a 1-star character, but she does have viability in the fact that she has a very, very good kit of skills for support. And this is definitely one of them. You know, being able to get a 20% increase to your Buster card effectiveness and your critical damage for 3 turns on a 6-turn charge time is going to be very helpful to boost your overall damage. Her second skill is going to be the Bean Soup Lake A, which will recover her entire party's HP. This is a very basic skill, but it's not a bad skill at all. You'll be able to heal 2000 HP across the board for all of your allies on a 5-turn charge time, assuming she stays alive long enough to do that. And third and finally, she's going to have the Popcorn Snowstorm B. This will reduce all enemies' defense for 3 turns, as well as reduce their healing received for 5 turns. So this definitely is a support skill acting in the form of a debuff, being able to reduce the defense of all of the enemies, which in turn will allow you to do more damage, and that'll be a 20% decrease at level 10, as well as reducing the amount of healing that they can receive for 5 turns. So anytime you're going against a healer, that'll just reduce the amount of healing they get, and that's for 5 turns on a 6-turn charge time, so you can pretty much always have that buff or debuff active on the enemies as you're going through the fight. And then she does also have one passive skill, and this will be the Madness Enhancement D, which will increase her Buster card effectiveness by 4%. So now that we talked about all of her skills, we're going to go ahead and give it a star ranking. And for her skills, she's got a very good support-oriented kit of skills, which is pretty good overall. So I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5 star ranking for her skills. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the damage portion of the video, and a lot of these categories will be jumbled together. So like damage, critical ability, and Noble Phantasm are basically tied together. So in order to talk about her damage, we do have to go ahead and look at her Noble Phantasm. We already looked at her stats and her skills, so now we need to look at her Noble Phantasm. So we're going to go ahead and flash the familiar graphic right here with her command cards and her Noble Phantasm. So for her command cards, she has 1 quick, 1 arts, and 3 buster, and they all have 3 hit counts on each of the cards, which is very good, and her extra attack will be 4 hits. So she's going to be able to do a lot of hits, but she's not really going to be able to do a lot of critical generation because her critical absorption and generation is very poor. So even with decent hit counts, you're still not going to be able to get a lot of stars generated. You're not going to be able to generate her Noble Phantasm that fast either. Even though you do have, you know, high hit counts, you only have 1 arts card. So it's going to be pretty difficult. But she does have 3 busters, so she can do Buster Brave Chains, which is going to be very helpful for her overall damage. And then for her Noble Phantasm, it is going to deal damage to all enemies, as well as decrease the defense of all of those enemies for 5 turns. So this is a pretty good Noble Phantasm. It's the animation of the Noble Phantasm is extremely fast, so it's going to be very helpful for like farming and things you just want to get done really quickly. It does a pretty good chunk of damage as well, so you can see a lot of play there in farming teams and wave clearing teams and things like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and show the actual Noble Phantasm, and then we'll cut back to our original graphic and assign these categories some star rankings. So see you guys in a couple seconds. Alright, we are back, and as you guys can see, that was an extremely fast Noble Phantasm. When I was doing it, I wasn't even sure if it was the fast version or the slow version of the Noble Phantasm. So now we're going to jump back in and start assigning the rankings to some of these stats. So for her damage, I'm going to give her 3 stars. She's a Berserker, so she gets the natural damage multiplier. She's got a Buster deck, so she can do, you know, extra damage there. Pretty powerful Noble Phantasm that'll deal some really good damage. She's got skills that will increase her overall damage, and that's pretty much it. If she wasn't a 1-star character, then that ranking would go up pretty high. But, you know, being a 1-star character, her stats do still come into play, so she does lose a few points there. Overall ranking of 3 stars, though, is definitely not bad. And then for her critical ability, she is only going to get 2 stars. She does have decent hit counts, but she has very poor critical generation and critical absorption, so she's not really going to make use of any of those stars, and even if you do get stars, she's probably not going to get them. She does have her first skill, which can increase critical damage, so she got a few points there, but other than that, she's really not going to contribute much as far as critical ability goes. And then for her Noble Phantasm, she's going to get 3 stars. She has a very decent Noble Phantasm. A Berserker AoE is always going to be very helpful, and the attack animation is very fast, so again, that's going to be good for farming and wave clearing, which we'll talk about when we get to versatility a little bit. Other than that though, she doesn't have good Noble Phantasm generation, only having 1 arts card, and it's going to be difficult to get her Noble Phantasm even filled, so you're going to have to bring in some sort of like craft essence, like Kaleidoscope, or something that'll just be able to start her off with her gauge filled in order to have support characters come in and fill the gauge for her. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, she'll just probably be killed before she can get her Noble Phantasm off. And that ties us into her survivability. So she's going to get 1 star in survivability. I think that was pretty predictable considering she has the lowest HP in the game. She does have a heal, which is nice in most circumstances, but her being a Berserker and having the lowest HP in the game means she will probably be killed before she can use it, or there are situations in which she can be killed in 1 turn and you can't even use the heal. At that point, it kind of just becomes irrelevant to have if you can't even use it. And then for her versatility, this will give her 2.5 stars. She's not bad. She's definitely good in farming teams and wave clearing teams, as I said multiple times. You can combo her with a Rash and get like 2 really fast Noble Phantasm wave clears off and just lead you into the 3rd wave where you can bring in your heavy hitters or another wave clear or something. You just make the runs go super fast, and generally speaking, her damage is good enough in order to wave clear either the 1st or 2nd wave, depending on what you're doing. And if you do Grail her, then that just makes the effectiveness even better, and that will actually bump her versatility up significantly. If you do Grail her, you could be looking at, even 3.5 stars for versatility, because if she has more HP and she can't be killed in 1 turn, or potentially killed in 1 turn, then she definitely becomes more viable if you can start recycling her skills and keeping her alive for a little bit longer. She does need a lot of help though. Fortunately, you have Waver and Merlin who definitely help a lot of her drawbacks, so if you do have either of those characters, or if you want to just take those as support characters, they'll definitely be able to help keep her alive and have more staying power on your team. Overall though, that will give her a 3.1 out of 5, so definitely not a bad character, and as far as free event characters go, she's definitely the easiest one to get that I can think of. So just do the quest, get the character. Even if you don't use her, you'll get her Noble Phantasm level 5 very easily just by doing a couple quests a day. So really no reason why you shouldn't get her, and honestly she's not that bad of a character either if you are in need of a good support or AoE Berserker. So that's pretty much going to wrap up the video, guys. I covered everything I really needed to cover here. Obviously this is the first new change to the character spotlight, so things might still be tweaked in the future in the next couple of videos. I might bring back some of the graphics, I might change some more things. I'm just kind of going through the process and tweaking it as I go, so I do apologize for kind of how messy this video was or seemed to have been, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you want one of the old graphics back again, just let me know. I'll try and incorporate that back into the video, or if I skipped over something that I usually say and you guys missed it in this video, again, just let me know. Your feedback is very important to me, so I just want to know what you guys are thinking. But other than that, I think I covered everything I want to, so as always, there are links below to my Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and Discord, so feel free to check those out, and I will see you guys next time.